Os desenvolvedores de jogos indie da indústria de videogames sacrificam dinheiro, saúde e sanidade para realizar seus sonhos de compartilhar suas visões criativas com o mundo. Veja o exemplo dos criadores de Meat Boy, Super, Face e BRAID. Este filme capta a tensão e drama, centrando-se sobre a vulnerabilidade destes desenvolvedores e busca obsessiva de expressar através de uma forma de arte do século XXI. Assiste esse vídeo, clica no botão vermelho aqui embaixo, ativa o sininho e vamos lá.
Where's the remote? Is the remote over there? What the hell? Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me?
I got plenty of information.
It's not here.
I know that on our launch day,
Where is it?
which is our biggest sales day,
What the fuck is that?
that we're not even featured anywhere. I know on our launch day at this point, we're gonna do worse than all of them.
Part of it is about not trying to be professional. Like a lot of people come into indie games trying to be like a big company. What those game companies do is create highly polished things that serve as large of an audience as possible. The way that you do that is by filing off all the bumps on something. If there's a sharp corner, you make sure that's not going to hurt anybody if they bump into it or whatever. That creation of this highly glossy commercial product is the opposite of making something personal.
I am determined to make video games, and I make video games because I can. I am very, very good at programming. I can still basically make something that expresses myself like a movie or something that I wrote. I can make that as a video game, and I have the full ability to do that.
Things that are personal have flaws, they have vulnerabilities.
I don't know, to me games are like the ultimate art form. It's just the ultimate media. I mean, it's the sum total of every expressive medium of all times made interactive. Like, how is that not? It's awesome. I want to be part of it. I want to have a say in what becomes of video games.
If you don't see a vulnerability in somebody, you're probably not relating with them on a very personal level. So it's the same with a game design.
My whole career has been me trying to find new ways to communicate with people because I desperately want to communicate with people, but I don't want the messy interaction of having to make friends and talk to people because I probably don't like them. You know, yeah, when you make games and you put stuff up online and people like your stuff, or if they don't like your stuff, either way they're going to give you some kind of feedback in some way, and you have like this conversation.
It's why a writer writes, I guess. You know, it's because they can. That's the most effective way they can express themselves, and a video game is the most effective way I can express myself.
You know, making it was about, let me take my deepest flaws and vulnerabilities and put them in the game, and let's see what happens.
The generation that indie game developers are coming from, and I'm part of this generation also, we're the first generation that grew up with video games, but not as an active purchasing choice.
Since I was part of that generation that grew up with it, I feel an ownership of it. You know, games are mine.
For anyone who grew up basically after 1975, 1980 or so, we were the first generation to grow up with our parents giving us games, and for us to grow up games as a natural and relevant part of our everyday existence.
So this is not like a weird kid activity for me. This is not like some strange, nerdy pastime. This has been a part of my life.
There's been a tendency over the past couple decades in mainstream games to make everything bigger, make everything more realistic, just to kind of amp up everything.
Big games have other goals. They want to entertain you. They want to get 10 million people playing at the same time. But indie games, it's like frequently one person who says, I want a game to be like this. I want a game to be about this special thing.
Independent games are any game that a small team or an individual creator worked on to their own vision, something that they just felt like making and coding and finishing.
The one major thing that made this possible is the rise of digital distribution. It used to be that retailers had a lot of power over every game creation company because that was the only avenue available to sell games. And so nobody was willing to start distributing games digitally because Walmart would get upset at them and they wouldn't take their products off the shelf and nothing would happen. But Valve changed that when they came out with Steam. They had no loyalties to retail, and so they just did it. And then after that, everybody else said, well, we have to compete with them. And there was kind of this whole flood of Xbox Live Arcade and PlayStation Network and WiiWare that kind of followed suit with that. I think 2008 was the first year that indie games started to do really well. AudioSurf came out first on Steam, then it was Castle Crashers and BRAID and World of Goo. Osmos did really well in 2009 and 2010. Then Limbo came out and kind of blew the records, and then Minecraft came out as well. And it actually came out much earlier, but then it really built up and blew those records away. And when we're talking about really well, we're talking about millions of dollars in revenue. So for teams of 200, millions of dollars doesn't really count very much, but for a team of 2, 3, 4 people, that's really significant money.
Hey everybody, welcome to Elder Speak, the official podcast of ElderGeek.com. With me as always, I've got Gavin from the news, and as special guests, I've got Edmund and Tommy from Team Meat, who are building Super Meat Boy.
All right, so with us today is Team Meat.
Team Meat. Everybody in the indie scene is raving about
Meat Boy's coming, Super Meat Boy's coming. It was just all over the place.
This is like our biggest interview of Fall Damage history.
You've been living under a rock for the last few months. Anticipated the release of this call.
Looking amazing. I cannot wait to see the finished product.
I think we both talked about approaching Super Meat Boy in the way where like our goal was to make a game that our 13-year-old selves would be super huge fanboys over. I know for a fact that 13-year-old Edmund would hear about Meat Boy right now. He'd be following us on Twitter. Mm-hmm. He'd probably be that annoying kid that was like, hey, send me a build.
Yeah, I'm
my name's Super Meat Boy Fanboy.
Yeah, I've registered it. I haven't even played the game yet.
Can you get me a demo? Yeah. Come on.
It's like, shut up.
I'd totally be that because this game is very me, and I think Tommy would say the same. And yeah, I want it to be one of those games that kids would go crazy for on the schoolyard and passionately argue that this game's better than this game. And
This is my room where I grew up as a child. But yeah, this is my room forever. This has been my room. I have a bunch of posters from like Nintendo Power way back in the day. Yeah, it's just this room is my childhood, and that's basically what Super Meat Boy is. It's mine and Edmund's childhood, but put into game form by seemingly adult males. So you know.
Super Meat Boy is an upcoming PC and console game based on a Flash game. This incredibly hard Flash game that was super popular.
It's a game that looks like it's going to be like traditional in a way. It's about platforming. It's about this kind of very well-known thing, but it's got a real distinct art style, and it's got a kind of a very quirky point of view.
Super Meat Boy is a retro sort of platformer where you play as a boy with no skin, who's just meat, basically, and he's trying to rescue his girlfriend, who's made of bandages, from an evil doctor that's a fetus in a jar, wearing a top hat and monocle, wearing a tuxedo. During my whole development years, going through middle school and everything, it was just all Mega Mans, Marios, Metroids, those older, very difficult games. All of these games, like every one of these games on this wall, F-Zero was hard, Mega Man was very difficult, Spy Hunter was stupidly difficult. In Super Meat Boy, we sort of get to do whatever we want. We don't have a publisher, we don't have investors, we don't answer to anybody. And a lot of that is shown in the game. Like, we get away with a lot of stuff. We can have Dr. Fetus shoot somebody a bird because he only has 3 fingers, so it's not technically his middle finger. You know, we can put in any sort of humor or parody that we want. I mean, we have parodies of Street Fighter and Castlevania and Mega Man intros and Bubble Bobble.
So a lot of people want to know, like, is this game going to be like substantial, or is it going to be all the quirk in the character?
I think a lot of people are thinking that it's going to be sort of along the same lines as like a Castle Crashers, something like that. You know, in 2008, I think Castle Crashers and BRAID were the 2 games that really made people look and go, oh, I can download games on my Xbox. And I think people are expecting this game to be the next big thing on XBLA.
As long as it comes out and it does something where I can, even if it made me like 20 grand for the next 2 years or something, that would be enough to make the next game, just based on what I'm living off right now. And I'd have to do that because I'm not gonna go work at EA. I'm not gonna go work at Epic. You know, that sounds horrible. It sounds like hell to me. So it comes out and people don't like it, and people just trash it and hate it, and it has a Metacritic score of like 20, and everyone just thinks it's awful. Then it's like, it doesn't really make a difference, because even though it's a game that people are supposed to buy, it's not a game that I made for people. I made it for myself. You know, Ed and I made it as a reflection of ourselves, and we tried to make it as fun and as accessible as possible. Whatever. If people want to buy Modern Warfare or Halo Reach, that's fine, because I think those games are shit. And if that's what people want, then people don't want the games that I make, because I don't make shit games. So.
If you follow indie games, even remotely, like Fez is probably one of the projects that you've been kind of like hearing about for a while, 'cause it's been several years in development.
Fez will be memorable either for its impending release or for never coming out.
And the winner of the IGF Art Award is Fez.
So Fez wins an award at the IGF.
It was hardly finished when it won the award. It kind of won on the back of sort of a small tech demo.
In the clear blue sky, an awards ceremony.
I think within a week I saw it on every major gaming outlet online.
My name is Phil. I'm an independent game developer.
It's mostly about this little 2D guy who lives in a 2D world, and then one day realizes that the world is actually 3D.
And all of a sudden, Phil, who is making this game on his own with a grant from the Canadian government, is some indie gaming rock star.
This is fucking awesome.
Phil is trying to walk around in a cubist painting with Fez. That's what Fez is. Your character is walking around a cubist painting. 2D sprite characters in a 3D rotating world, and at any one point you're only seeing one side of the world. And everybody is just clamoring, like they just want to see the game. When do we get the game? When can we play the game?
There's been so much speculation about when, where, how, if ever this game is ever going to come out.
I'm working on it as hard as I can, all the time.
It's like, what's taking so long? What the fuck are you doing, Phil?
Like, I'm doing the best I can here. I don't hear people bitch about fucking Valve taking, well, no, they do bitch about Valve taking forever for episode 3, but not as much as Fez, and there's hundreds of people there. You know, Eco took 5 years to make. Red Dead Redemption, 1,000 people, 5 years. GTA 4, 1,000 people, 5 years. Nobody bitches about that. 1,000 people! There's 2 of us here. It's taking too long. Fuck off! Jesus fucking Christ! Like, it really gets to me. I guess, you know, that's the price you pay for being indie and being the one guy that people know is making the game, is that you open yourself to these kinds of personal attacks that I wasn't, I don't know. That's not something I was counting on when I was dreaming of becoming independent. It was not the army of assholes online to kind of, not ruin my life, but make it all that much more hard to enjoy. I mean, it's a complicated game also. It was ridiculously overambitious for like my first indie game. It's a classic mistake, and we didn't realize we were making it. We thought it was going to take a year. We thought it was going to be that game, a simple game, and then it became a completely different game a number of times.
C'est un tout petit cube que tu zoomes dedans, puis là, le cube il fait, c'est des genres de cubes, quelque chose dans ce genre-là qui zoome dedans, puis qui arrive tellement proche de la surface que ça devient un autre genre de plane.
C'est pas Prime Time of Your Life.
Oh yeah, c'est Prime Time of Your Life qui finit avec le...
So my name is Renaud. I've been programming Fez since the very beginning, like 3 years ago. And yeah, day to day is just coding stuff, implementing features, fixing bugs. That's what I do. There's a lot of personal pressure just to finish what you've been working on for so long. And then there's a lot of people that counts on it as being really awesome and really much bigger than we've ever shown, because every time we show something, we say, oh, that's nothing. That's just like a small part. You'll see how better it gets. The personal pressure is bigger to me than the outside world pressure is. Like, I really need to get this done.
This is like it's a learning experience. I mean, I've made games before, but I've never produced an entire game from A to Z for a commercial release on a real platform, you know, with Microsoft before. I've never done that before. It's terrifying. It's really, really, really scary, especially when, I don't know, you lose funding or something like that. There's just no safety network there. There's nothing to fall back on. There's always a threat of the whole thing just falling apart any day now.
I mean, it was very difficult to make the game, but in some ways it was less difficult than what I had been doing in my life up till then. Having a lot of big ideas about what I wanted to do in games and not ever finishing anything that really had the impact that I wanted to have. I think as one ages and establishes a pattern of that, it becomes a little bit demoralizing, right? You start to look at things and say, maybe I'm never going to do these things with my life that I thought that I would. And then one day I said, you know what, I'm going to make something that I actually finish, and that became BRAID. And you know, it took 3 years, but I finished it.
I think one of the biggest breakout games would have to be BRAID.
BRAID's a really interesting game because I was surprised it was as successful as it is.
It was a big hit for the independent community, and it was one that generated a lot of money for Jonathan Blow.
You know, it's a very odd setting, and a lot of people aren't quite sure what it means.
Nobody had played a game that was like BRAID, that did what BRAID did with time before.
Really what made BRAID work is that time, the time-changing mechanic, the rewind mechanic, obviously from a gameplay perspective was a lot of fun, but that it also had this metaphorical relevance as well.
It's telling this strange, out-of-order story, and it's a love story, and it's not something you normally see in a game.
It's about this little kind of preppy boy, I mean, he always looks like a preppy to me, who sort of has lost something and is sort of working through these memories that kind of change as he keeps playing.
Those two things, both the fictional world and then the game world mechanic, those two worked really hand in hand very, very well.
So BRAID came out of the confluence of a couple of different ideas. I was on a mailing list with some friends. One of my friends said, you know, he was looking at Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time, which was a game that came out in the early 2000s. And it had this ability to rewind, but it was limited. You know, you had a certain number of charges that you could use, and when you ran out of those, then if you got killed, you couldn't rewind anymore. You would just have to reload the game, which was this painful process. So one of my friends said, well, why not just do it like a VCR when you can rewind anytime you want? But nobody in that discussion actually tried it, right? So I said, okay, I'm feeling inspired. Let me just start this idea for this game that I've been kicking around. And I spent about a week working on it. And I had a prototype that really is kind of amazing in that if you look at the prototype and then look at the final game, a lot of the ideas from the final game were actually in that prototype that were done in the first week. So I had the 3 of the worlds with, I mean, not fully built out 3 of the worlds, but the game mechanics were there for rewinding and then rewinding with things that were immune to rewind, and then about time and space being tied together so that time changes as you move. And I had a number of puzzles on each of those worlds, and a couple of them, probably half of them, are in the final game in recognizable form. It was very low effort on my part to do something that was very interesting within the system, and I was like, wow, So it started as a process of experimentation, but then it very quickly became a process of discovery. It's like if you're sitting on top of a gold mine, but you don't even really have to dig. It's like you just scoop some dirt aside and there's like a little chunk of gold, and then you scoop some more dirt, and it's and the most laborious part of the process is actually picking up these heavy chunks of gold and like moving them. So that was an amazing design experience.
Most of the time, he's back in North Carolina at his house, working remotely, and I'm here working from my computer. The way this game has developed has been very different from other games that I've worked on. We kind of bounce ideas off each other, and not as much as like just gameplay ideas, but more jokes, like jokes that kind of get out of control and then push their way into the game. And
he says code, der.
My Adam's apple is not that big.
Yeah,
Stop.
but look, what if I put a knife in it?
Go.
Look at that. Is it totally injected all the way in? See the needle? And then there's a hammer that hits the needle in deeper.
My whole life has been about trying to find where the boundaries are and see how far I can push them before I get in trouble. And that's what I'm doing now, and that's what's exciting to me. I just feel like if I'm not doing that, I'm bored. And if I'm bored, I'm not going to be creative. I make games that center around my life, things that I like, and the things that I think and say and do. I make games to express myself, I guess. It's hard for me to talk about Santa Cruz because I've never lived anywhere else. It's just normal. I mean, I grew up here. My mom was obsessed with the beach. So that was like always her dream, is to live in Santa Cruz. So that's where she forced us to live. I don't know, I grew up here. It was like a skate surf town. I never got into either. I stayed in the house and played video games and drew. Monsters. I only drew monsters. I drew weird shit. There's like a big giant drawing of a kid with a bunch of like weird, like a demon inside of him that's scratching to get out. In third grade, my teacher recommended that I be evaluated, psychologically evaluated, because she thought I was mentally disturbed. My mom said that no, he's just an artist, he likes to draw. And she said that's not art, that's a cry for help. But I mean, I basically grew up a lot with my grandma. I didn't get along with my stepdad, so whenever there was a problem, I would just go stay with my grandma, or we would all stay with my grandma. But my grandma was always extremely supportive, to the point of being very annoying to my mom and my sister. To her, I was the golden boy that could do anything, and she made me really feel like I could do anything. It was like when she said, "You're gonna be a success," it wasn't like she was just saying it. It was like a fact. Like that was gonna happen, like that was that. Ether was kind of based around my niece. She kind of reminded me of me because she didn't really seem to like to play with other kids, and she liked to just do things by herself and explore by herself, and she was very imaginative, and she really liked monsters, so that whole thing like brought me back to when I was little, and I thought, how cool would it be to like make a game that could put other people inside my mind when I was like 5, 6, 7, and that was Ether. So this kid gets on the back of a monster, and the monster goes around in space, and he gets to explore all these other planets because he can't connect to anybody on Earth, so he goes to find other friends. But all these other planets are inhabited with these kind of weird or sad or nervous creatures. And he goes and tries to solve their problems. I mean, he solves the problems, but they don't become happy. And he keeps going around all these different planets, but each time he solves one of these problems, the Earth gets smaller. And then when he comes back to Earth, and it's so small that when he touches it, it breaks, and then he's kind of lost in space. And it was kind of just like the ideas of, you know, it's really cool to be a creative kid, and it's cool to do all that stuff, but there's of course dangers of isolating and becoming obsessed with things and having phobias. And that was the whole thing, is like each of those planets was like a phobia of mine when I was little. And when I was little, before I'd go to bed, I would obsess about these things because I thought I'd be able to fix them, but in the end I would just make them worse. They wouldn't be fixed, but I would be so obsessed with them. The next day that I go to school, I'd have stomach aches and I need to go home. A lot of the imagery and stuff that I pulled from, I'm still very, very, very happy with. To me, it speaks perfectly of how I felt when I was little. Like when I play that game, that's exactly how I remember it feeling, and still very happy with it. And then shortly after that, my grandma passed away, and she had a box of my drawings that she saved when I was little. And that's when I found this picture that I had drawn of me in space, floating. And this is Edmund floating in space, and my friend too is space, or something like that. Space is my friend, and my friend too is me. I should break that out. But yeah, no, it was validating to find that box and see those things and be like, wow, like this is just like the game.
I have a very precise story of the exact moment where it started. I was 4, it was Christmas 1998, and for Christmas I got a Nintendo Entertainment System with Mario, Zelda, and Tetris, which is like perfect. It's the trifecta of video game. Like to this day, you can't really get a better 3 games together. It was clear at that moment that this is what I wanted to do in my life. I've known what I wanted to do in my life since I was 4, and there was never any doubt about it. I wanted to make games. What that entailed wasn't always clear. You know, you're 4, you want to make games. It just seems like, oh, you just come up with ideas and then you have a game. It's awesome. There she is. What a beaut. So this is the game that me and my dad made back in 1993. Based on art I would make in kid pics. He would take that and turn them into these simple find the object games. So I would come back from school every now and then, and there would be these new levels added to the game based on stuff I'd made in the days before. And at first they were just these really simple Where's Waldo-esque things. Where's the letter V? Oh, there it is. It's so completely abstract because it was all my art and it made no sense. Oh, Cybervision. This is the best one. This is a piece of software that I made for myself. It's the stupidest thing. It's just patterns that I made invert the colors really, really quickly to give them like a flicker. So you pick your pattern and then you pick the number of flashes you want. And then what you're supposed to do is stick your face in it and stare at it like so. For a long time. And I swear to God, you start to see stuff. Oh my God. Oh, what was wrong with me? This is still awesome.
So the way that I'm approaching design in this case really is kind of experiential, right? I'm thinking about when the player comes on the screen, what's going to be happening, right? You know, not quite in the same way that you think of it in a movie, but sort of, right? You have to put your mind in the viewpoint of the player and think about what's going to happen. And there's this excitement about ideas unfolding that I try to put into the game. You know, it's a stream of communication between the designer and the player. And the design of a level like this is it's sort of a dialogue, or at least a monologue, where it's like, hey, check this out, you know. Did you realize that you were going to have a problem coming up that ladder, right? Isn't it weird but cool that you can have so much of a problem just because this ladder is a little bit to the left? If it was over here or over here, you wouldn't have that problem, you know. And so that is the interesting part. That's the important part. It's not important that it's a tricky puzzle that takes some thinking to solve. I mean, that's a little bit cool, but you know, any puzzle game can give you puzzles that you have to think about and that are tricky to solve. But what any particular game can give you is details, is like interesting insights into particular situations. And I think that when a game realizes that and seizes that way of doing things and runs with it, it can do some really special things.
I'm very visual as a person. I like pretty things. I like aesthetics, and a big part of Fez is the aesthetic. Like that kind of pleasant blue sky, green grass, fresh air. Obviously, there's no air coming out of the game, but so like this is how art works in the game. I make these little strips for the four sides that you see in the game, the top and the bottom of every cube. And Renaud made a little Photoshop script that crops them one at a time and saves them numerically. And then I can feed them to the game, and the game takes these textures and like wraps them around a cube and projects this art on each side. And you see there's the different sides of the texture strip. Then I can take the cube and I can go like carve in details that you can barely see in the game. You only really feel them during the rotation. So I use the Tetris pattern a lot. And it's kind of a pain because I actually need to go in there and paint it and like reorient the tiles hand by hand. So like here I don't like that there's this big straight line. It's kind of awkward. I'm gonna make it a T shape. So I spent a lot of time doing this. I build these elaborate structures, and then eventually I spend like an afternoon going over everything. I guess I've been staring at it for too long because like I obsess over the tiniest details. Like one thing that happened is I never did pixel art before Fez, so I had to like learn. And then you do that for 3 years, and then by the end of 3 years, you're a lot better than you used to be. And all the art you did 2 years ago isn't as good as what you're producing right now, and there's a kind of a divide. So I had to like retouch a lot of old stuff. I do everything 3 times, and it takes me 3.5 years to make a video game.
Level design. So, the basic formulas of level design go: when you start out, you want to teach the player how to play. And you need to make sure that they understand every mechanic of the game. So, every level in the first chapter needs to have some example forcing the player to do something in order to beat the level that they will need further in the game. So, like there's a level, I think level 3, that is just a gap. And the only way to get over that gap is to hold down run, and jump. You can't get it any other way. You can't just keep jumping around. You won't jump far enough. And that's to make sure that the player understands that in order to get over far gaps that you need to press and hold the run button and jump across it. It's simple. It sounds like a no-brainer, but it's something that usually in games it would just say, hold run to jump far. Most people will just skip the text and they will forget. Now, just in case somebody didn't play that level, a couple levels later I reiterate and I give them another section of a level that requires them to run and jump to make sure that they know how to do it, because it's important. Like, all these mechanics are very important. And each level in the chapter is another level that pushes that. Like, there's a level where you need to continuously jump up one wall because there's no other wall to jump to. That's me teaching the player that you can do this. And everybody in the world will see a problem and want to solve it. So if you see something where it's just a wall and you don't realize you can keep jumping up the wall, you're going to try it right away. And once you try it yourself, you've taught yourself, not only do you feel smart, like you've figured out something yourself, you also now for sure know how to do that from then on in the game. So all these levels of introduction they go through everything, and once you've basically cleared out all the things you can do with Meat Boy, then you start introducing new mechanics. And with Meat Boy, it's not like Mario, where lots of the Mario games introduce new mechanics in forms of suits that change Mario's properties. And that's something that I wanted to avoid, and I wanted to make it really, really pure. Meat Boy never gets better or gets a power-up. It's the levels that change the mechanics. So right away you introduce saws, and they're usually static saws that just spin in place, and you have to avoid static saws. Then later, those same saws that you know how that they kill you and they know that they're round, those same saws then will start moving back and forth. So you got moving saws. And then, even later than that, you'll get these saws that are on these little spinners that act like windmills, and they go around in a circle. Now, it's the same saw that you've jumped over a million times before, but it's coming at you in a different way. And it's just expanding on the basic mechanic and making it different and more enjoyable each time. As a designer, you want to explore each mechanic and make sure that it can be enjoyed at least 3 or 4 different ways. If it's only got one use and you can only get one use out of it, then it's pointless, because you need to be able to juice it. You gotta figure out new ways to use it.
It's become a bit of a reflection of me over time. It certainly wasn't the intention at first. I started noticing a few things that kind of reflect my experience of working on the game. It's a game about games, and the world is very much a computer world. It's a world within a computer, and there's a lot of computer logic to it. And every now and then the universe becomes unstable and has to kind of defragment itself and reboot. That's the goal of the game. In Fez is you're putting these pieces of the universe back together to try and make it stable again. I basically always feel like the entire world is falling apart around me these days. Here's a quick little recap of the last 2 years or so of what's been happening. So we moved in our first office, we had our telefilm grant, and that was great. Everything was kind of coming along. And then my dad was diagnosed with leukemia. And we were told he had a 50-50 chance of dying, like any weeks. He was like a test subject to this new kind of treatment. There's like, well, you're gonna die anyway, but you might want to give this crazy treatment a shot and you might live. And so he lived. Shortly after that, my parents divorced, which, it's never fun. I had to move my dad to a new apartment and all that. Shortly after that, my girlfriend left me about a year ago. Sometime after that, there started being a lot of tension between me and the guy who owned the other half of the company. And eventually he left. He left the company, and that was a big blow because all of a sudden I had to take care of every single aspect of the company. Almost immediately after that, we lost our funding. And now we're here. We don't have any money. I'm overworked and overstressed about the business. I'm on the line, me, like my name, my career. If this fails, I'm done. Like, I don't think I'll work in games again. And it's not just a game, like I'm so closely attached to it. It's me, like it's my ego. My perception of myself is at risk. This is my identity. It's Fez. I'm Guy making Fez. You know, that's about it. If that doesn't work out, well then.
What would happen to you personally if you couldn't finish the game?
I would kill myself. I'm dead, I would kill myself. That's what well, that's like my incentive to finish it, is then I get to not kill myself.
I guess a typical day for me at this point in development is usually I wake up around 4:30 in the afternoon because I've gone to bed at like 9 or 10 or 11 the morning before. I check emails. There's usually something there from either one of the localization people or Kevin, our Microsoft guy, asking for this, or just any number of Microsoft specific people just asking for different things. And I make my breakfast, which consists of a microwaved sandwich. It's pretty good. I take insulin for that, and then I just work on whatever's on the list. You know, I have a couple lists. They're mainly like I retire a list when I spill food on it usually, and these are actually surprisingly clean. This one is like, this was a big one. This one was code complete, but you can see like the grease stains, or you can kind of see through it, and that's when I retired that one. Me and Ed are handling like a lot of stuff for two people, but we're right there at the end, so we just sort of do it. I mean, we're both very, very tired, but at the same time we're tired, not so much from work, but from not being able to sleep because of thinking about work.
I'm like in a fucking concentration camp. Like, I'm not allowed out and I'm stuck. I have to work until it's done. And if it doesn't get done, I'm fucked. So that kind of, no pressure. If you can't get the work done, then the past 2 years are basically worth nothing. No pressure. We got a call from Kevin saying, we're gonna do this thing called the Game Feast, the Xbox promotion, like the fall of arcade. And he said, if you want to get in, you have to have the game done in a month. We're like, whoa, because we weren't anywhere close to being ready at all. And he's like, do you think it's possible? And Tommy was just like, yeah, well, we'll just shoot for it. And if we miss it, we miss it. But if not, whatever. And he's like, well, if you miss it, we can't launch until February. I'm like, oh, like Tommy doesn't have any money and we're running out of money. And it's just like, we have to do this now. Like, we have to do this. There were at least 5 times, a good 5 times, where I totally broke down and I just didn't want to do it anymore. I couldn't escape it anyway, so I would just go and I'd go into the bathtub, and we have a bathtub shower, and I would just turn on the hot water and I'd lay down on my back and I'd wait till the water went cold. That was all I had. That was like all I had to try to relax myself and not worry about anything. I was actually really worried that either Tommy or I would die in the process of making this. And I know Tommy even talked about it too, like, as long as he could finish this game, then he'd be okay with dying, because at least he finished the game. It was fucking weird. You fucking go crazy when you're like this. Yeah, well, I obviously grew this mustache. And it is the reclusive cowboy, so I need everybody to know how crazy I feel on the outside.
Edmund and I talk all the time about everything. We're best friends, but we were talking about if the game does well. He was reading some quotes about success. It was something like, the hardest part of success is finding people that will be happy for you, or something like that. I'm gonna have 3 people I know for sure that are going to be happy for me. Forever, my parents have been supportive of whatever I wanted to do. They've done everything they could to just absolutely make sure that I'm all right. They've seen like some hard times, you know, with economy and stuff like that, you know, just kind of going down the tubes after our last president kind of messed everything up. They were 4 years from paying off this house. This house that, I mean, my dad built this house. You know, my mom and my dad basically built the house. It was completed right before I was born, and they were 4 years from paying it off and had to refinance it. So I'm hoping if like a lot of people buy the game, I can slap a bow on the top of the roof for Christmas and say, here you go. This is what you get for being awesome parents my entire life. So.
So Meat Boy is a boy made of meat, but he's not, like when designing him, it wasn't a thought of, hey, he's made of steak or whatever else. It was more, hey, he doesn't have skin. He's a boy without skin, so that's why they call him Meat Boy. So he's exposed to the elements. Maybe he's always in pain, but he just deals with it. But he has to be very careful with everything because anything could kill him. Like the smallest little thing, like salt or whatever, could totally destroy him. I wanted to have his girlfriend kind of be more than a love interest, and I wanted to play up the idea that he needs her, like that she's what completes him, like not just emotionally but physically as well, and that's why she's Bandage Girl. So she's kind of like the outer shell over Meat Boy that protects him, and that's why he needs her. He needs her back. Not only because he loves her, but because that's what completes him.
The Seamus McNally Grand Prize in the open category goes to Chronic Logic for Gish.
Thank you, everybody. Okay, I'd like to take the opportunity to propose to my girlfriend, Danielle. Okay, I have to do it. Come on, guys, I have to actually say it. Danielle, will you marry me?
People probably don't know that he's an amazing husband. That's huge, because he does all this stuff and he's still an awesome partner. The development process was long, a lot of work. And it's really hard to like adapt for like our relationship to go from spending 24/7 together, eating meals together, leaving the house, to not doing that at all.
I heard a lot of this, I only see your back. It was like, I know we're in the same room together, but I only see your back. Like we never are sitting looking at each other. Quite a few times I'm like, you know, I had to ask her, are you happy here? Is this worth it? Because I worry that this is just horribly boring for you, and that, you know, this might be something that you regret, you know, getting into as well.
This is the lady I like. And this is a cat. This website, I think I'm gonna go with this breeder. Since I have wanted one of these since I was in elementary school, just asked for it when the game's done. And we moved to a house if I could get a cat, and he said yes. And this is like my dream cat. It's like having a baby, except better.
You can't have another cat in this fucking house.
It'd be so warm, guppy. Oh my god.
Oh, that's the thing. It's fucking good. It's
available.
Winter is coming.
This one belongs to Jennifer and Robert. They're probably way happier than us right at this moment because they have the cat.
I sacrificed having a life. It's kind of weird. I don't go out. I don't really socialize. I can't really spend any money because I don't have any money right now, so I can't like go out. And if I were to go out on a date or something, I have no car to pick them up in. I have no way to buy meals or anything really. Well, I mean, I can purchase my own meals, but it's just the things you sacrifice are, well, the things I've sacrificed have just been social. You kind of have to give up something to have something great, in a way. I'm depressed now because I'm on the brink of something amazingly huge, but it's a different kind of depression. It's not a stuck depression. It's a, oh, holy shit depression. It's an unknown depression, which is kind of weird. But it'll fade because once it's out, and that's it.
I'm really, really curious to see what the basic reaction is, because the only people I've showed the game so far were people close to me, like friends and family. And feedback so far has been really good, but I don't know if I can trust that feedback. I don't know if my friends would tell me that Fez sucked, knowing that I've spent most of my adult life on it. I don't know what I think of it anymore. I've been staring at it for so long. I really can't tell if it's good or not. Sometimes I manage to convince myself that it's good, and it's like, yeah, you did a good job, Phil, it's a pretty good game. But then I have like a flash of lucidity, and I'm like, but you can't trust yourself on this. Like, all you've been doing for 4 years is look at this, like this close. Like, you can't see anything else. You don't even see the mistakes in it anymore. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that kind of brutal honesty that we're gonna get from the average gamer. We're here for PAX. So PAX stands for Penny Arcade Expo. It's not for developers, it's for gamers. They're expecting something like 65,000 people. We're going to be showing off Fez, a playable demo for the first time ever since IGF 2008, which was the unveiling of the game. We haven't showed it since in 4 years. So I'm a little bit nervous. But this is kind of like the big blowout, the kind of confirmation that yes, Fez is real. It exists, it's going to come out, and you'll be able to buy it one day, and you can actually play it today. Hopefully, interest will build up again until release, because I feel like over the years people have stopped caring because it's been so long. They maybe need to be reminded that we exist. And for the first time, I felt like this is Fez. This is the game that I wanted to make. There's a mood here that I've achieved. It's not done yet. We can't ship it yet, but it's really starting to feel like a game that has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It remains to be seen if the game's going to be good, or if it's going to, work on every level. But yeah, I'm pretty damn happy with it today.
What's the worst case scenario for you?
None of this happens. We don't get to actually show the game at PAX or do anything about it for extremely complicated legal reasons. My former business partner, with whom I started Polytron, left the company about 6 months ago. And ever since, we've been in a kind of nasty divorce. And if everything isn't settled, we can't do anything. We can't show it. We can't be at PAX and show the game and release our new trailer and things like that. Just a final signature, this last signature to close the deal 100%. So at the moment, like we drove all the way here, we printed these banners, we designed this booth, I made a demo just for it. There is still a chance that I'm just gonna stay in my hotel room the whole time and not be able to do any of this. It's pretty stressful. It feels like waiting, like everything feels longer, and it feels like I'm about to throw up. It's stage fright. I have a hard time sleeping. I mean, I can't think of anything else. It's like constantly, running through my head. And it's such a big deal. Like, it's such a big show. There's gonna be so many people. It's just I'm not in like a headspace right now where I want to be exposing myself and being a public figure and talking to people. So in my own little world, just working on Fez, trying to finish it. Like, I don't do anything else. I don't, every other aspect of my life is suffering because I'm just trying to finish this fucking game. Because right now, it could go either way. Like, it could be a nightmare. I don't know.
Oh man, I just your boy Soulja Boy tell him they got this game, right? Oh no, this shit called BRAID. Oh no, hey, watch this shit. It's about this little guy in a suit, and he look like Mario in the future. And he just walk around jumping shit. But what's the funny part about it? You can do this right here. Watch this. What do you do? How you do that? How you do that? If you didn't catch that.
On release day, you start seeing the reactions of people on the internet. And for me, it was a very addictive thing, because here I've spent several years, you know, working on this thing in isolation for the most part. And then suddenly it gets out and a lot of people, like tens of thousands of people, play it in the first few days. And you see that all over the internet. And for me, that was actually a very negative experience.
When BRAID was coming out, when people would talk about it online, and this was sort of the birth of like, the really like serious birth of like blog commentary, of like lots of people on blogs writing actually pretty good stuff about what they were playing, what they thought of it. Every time you mentioned his name, he would like show up in your comments almost instantly. Like his Google Alerts, I don't even think he uses Google Alerts. I think he has something that's like better than Google Alerts. So he'd pop up and comment and reply to things or correct people on things, and became kind of famous for it. Penny Arcade has kind of cracked about it before.
I found that there was this perception of me on the internet that was running away very quickly from who I think I am, and that was kind of disturbing. And there didn't seem to be much that I could do about that. So that was actually a pretty negative experience. And I was actually seriously depressed for probably 3 or 4 months after BRAID came out. You know, when you work a long time on something really intricate like that, there's a hope that people are going to understand, you know, the things that you did, and that you'll have some line of communication with your audience and things like that. And what some of the most demoralizing things were actually positive reviews of the game. The game would come out and people would say, oh, this game's great, you know, 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10, and they'd say what's good about the game. And in many cases, it would be just a very surface understanding of the game that didn't even see what I thought was most special about it. Not that many people understood. And that was a little bit heartbreaking in a way. It's like, oh, I visualized that I was going to have some kind of connection with people through this game. And they think it's great, but the connection isn't there because they're kind of living in a different world still. So they think it's great for some of the reasons that I do, but not for other.
And they ain't got no point to the game. You just walk around jumping on shit. It look like that.
They're not seeing the most important thing.
This shit's stupid as hell, man.
Today is Monday, and that's the embargo date. Do you know what an embargo is? Because I didn't, and I got in trouble for not knowing. An embargo, I guess, is you set a date when press can review your game. Okay, so 12 o'clock rolls around, and I start refreshing the Twitter mentions. You can search like who's talking about Super Meat Boy, and these reviews start just popping out. So I just start grabbing quotes and posting them, and so we've got a great experience, 4 out of 5, gamingtruth.com. Super Meat Boy revels in driving you crazy, but you end up crazy in love, 9 out of 10, Eurogamer. Brutal and hilarious, 5 out of 5, Console Arcade. I've never felt so challenged or rewarded in all my years that I've played with meat. I don't know who that is, but I posted it. All these reviews keep coming up, and every single time I'm thinking, I'm waiting for the really bad one. I'm waiting for the lowest review, like somebody's gotta hate it. Super Meat Boy can stand confidently next to Mario and the rest of the platforming elite. It's the best game on Xbox Live Arcade. This game is wonderful, 10 out of 10. Very addicting. A love letter to everything that's great about video games. This is nothing short of greatness. How could you not pick this game up? Buy it now, 5 out of 5. And they just kept coming and kept coming. I did not expect this at all. I honestly did not expect these reviews. Get this game now, 10 out of 10, 4.5 out of 5, 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10. It's weird to be launching the same time as Fallout and be getting reviews that are almost better. Like, that's weird. It's especially a game that I'm going to be buying. It's pretty fucking awesome.
I don't know if you guys realize how frustrating it is. I don't think you understand what's weird about it. I don't care. I really don't care what any of the reviews say. It's just weird that they're there. Positive or negative, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that, you know, we get 9s and 10s and all that stuff. It doesn't matter. Yeah, but I've been weird all my life about stuff. It's kind of weird to have people say that, hey, you're gonna be rich, you can buy me a car, blah, 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 you know, just joking kind of stuff, but they're not joking. I mean, they're joking about me buying them a car, at least I hope they are, because I'm totally not gonna buy anybody a car except my parents, if they want one. But to hear that, like, everything I've sort of dreamed about for years and years and years is going to basically come true in like 2 days and has already started to, is very odd. I cry at the idea of crying about it, because that's weird. But I cried when we submitted the game to certification. I cried because it was like the equivalent of sending your kid off to school. And like, we just had to wait. We had to, like, we had worked on it so hard, and it's like, we were nonstop for like 2 months doing just ungodly amounts of work. And then we send it off to certification, and it's like, okay, we'll let you know in 2 weeks. And it's like, is it gonna pass? Is it not gonna pass? Am I gonna have to fix this? And then when I would play the game, I'd see these bugs, and then I'd panic, and I'd email our producer, and I'd go, oh God, it doesn't, that was one of the things, is like, oh God, it doesn't show PEGI rating if it's run in European region. Is that gonna be a problem because it shows the ESRB? And they're like, oh no, it's fine. And it's like, oh, okay then.
I can't shake the idea that even though they're good reviews, that will still fail. And is that weird? Is it weird to feel that way? Because it feels normal to me, and I know it feels normal to Tommy, but there's still a part of me that says, even though we have the highest rated game in the past 2 years on Xbox Live, that we're still gonna fail. Tommy, do you feel the same way? Like, there's still a part of me that worries that we could fail at this point, and even though
it is there. It's there. It's like it's a real thing. Only way I can see it failing is if, like, the first 1,000 people or whatever that download it, they hit the game save error, all of them, and they just bash the shit out of the game.
Yeah, well, those are different worries definitely for you. Like, I know that, yeah, people might lose their save, but they're still going to enjoy the game and keep playing, and we're going to fix it. So this is contacts to 578 people. I'll do that. Then I'll update the website. I'll update my blog, update my Facebook, and call it a night. What are you going to do, Tommy?
What happened? I just fell asleep.
Really?
Yeah. What did you say?
Nothing.
This morning when I got up, I got an email from Renault saying that my ex-associate was on his way to PAX to help with some other game he's working on. So he still hasn't signed. He's going to be on the road most of the day, and then he's going to be at the show.
having a panic attack about this. I feel like I'm gonna cry, throw up, and pass out all at once. My breathing is all weird. I'm gonna lose my shit. I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna fucking murder that guy. And it's gonna get everybody in trouble. We're gonna get kicked out of PAX or some kind of horrible disaster like that. I can't even begin to figure out how I'm gonna handle this. If he doesn't sign, we can't do the show. And he can. He's gonna do his own show, prevent me from doing my own. It's like, it starts today. The show is tomorrow morning. Like, we have one day to set everything up, and it's still not signed. And he's coming. He's gonna be there, and he's gonna come around and check out the game, and I'm gonna cold blood fucking murder him. I'm gonna fuck that guy, seriously. I have to set up the show while not even knowing, like building a booth at the show without even knowing if it's, you know, we're gonna have to fucking disassemble it. We're gonna have to take apart the Fez kiosk and put it away. Build it up, tear it down. Why? Why? Why is he doing this? What's the point of this? It just doesn't make any sense. He should just fuck off, let me finish the game, not interfere in any way, because he stands to gain so much from this. If he just lets me do my work, he's gonna be a millionaire for nothing. He won't have done anything. He'll be a fucking millionaire because of me. And somehow he's trying to fucking sabotage that. He's trying to ruin that. Or just playing mind games? What is he, stupid or cruel, or both? It's too much. There's too much at stake, and I feel like this is just gonna end horribly for everybody involved.
Where's the remote? Is the remote over there? What the hell? Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Where is it? It's not here. What the fuck is that? This is fucking bullshit. We're nothing. We are nothing to them. We're being fucked. They so don't care. We have no... We have no placement on the marketplace, which is the entire point of doing the sale and doing this stupid promotion and fucking killing myself to get this game out in time.
What did they promise you?
We get a spot in front of Xbox like all the other shitty games do. But
How important is placement?
pretty fucking important. And this is it's like going to the store and having to ask to see if they have a game in the back because they don't have it on the shelf. You know how often people do that.
You
Ladies and gentlemen, go for a wild, wild ride with the Watusi. Big motor to see.
I'm not going to look at sales. No, I'm not going to look at sales. There's no point. There's no point in looking at sales because there's no way of me gauging how well it's doing within the first couple hours, so there's no point in me even downloading it and checking the leaderboards. It just would freak me out and make me all OCD, and I'd just constantly refresh it. I'll just wait for Microsoft to call.
That's how you do it.
First day is very, very important because it's like a pace car. So if you sell 20, 30,000 copies in the first day, well then you can expect it to just sort of staircase down. Now that we're going to start very, very low, it's going to be the same graph, but just at a much smaller scale, and there's just nothing we can do about it because the day's half over. We'll get half of what we had, you know. If people don't know how, if we have to get on Twitter and tell people how to find the game to buy it, that's awful. And especially since it's not, just go to Marketplace and we're right there. No, we have to say like a 5-step system of events or a series of commands to actually buy the game. And that's awful. That's dumb. So there's nothing we can do except blame Microsoft and then never ever work with them again. But then it's so dumb. I don't want to do games anymore, I don't think. I want to work on cars. I don't even want to work on cars. I don't want to do anything. Can I be a bum?
It's Friday. It's the first day of PAX. It's 7:20 something in the morning right now. The show opens at 9. Still no signature. It's scary. I really don't like it. Everybody's telling me just do it, and everything's set up, and it's not like I'm just gonna say no and stay in my hotel room. I'm gonna tag along and go to the convention center with everybody, and then I guess we're gonna do the show. Yeah, I guess I'm pretty nervous. Well, it's the first time we show the game since we first showed it.
Pre-success before you ever released is not a guarantee that, that the world will be there for you. And the worry I certainly have for Fez is that by the time that game ever comes out, we'll have moved on to some other thing.
I don't know, I'm hoping that it has a Phoenix Rising moment, kind of. They're like, oh yeah, Fez is back. That people will take us a little bit more seriously and not treat us like some kind of vaporware joke. And kind of, establish that everything's real.
Doors are opening in like 5 minutes. There's 1 million people outside. But I did post the trailer about an hour ago. Starting to spread already. So yeah, this is real. This is happening now. It's out in the open.
It's really like a nerve-wracking experience to look at somebody play my unfinished game. It's because it's not done. Like, somebody will get stuck somewhere, or there's a part they don't get or they don't like, and so like, this gunner sucks. Like, yeah, but it's not done. Like, I'll fix it later. Yeah, it feels like too personal. It's too close. Like, it's too. Yeah. We'll see what happens.
I think that's a bug.
That's a bug. I think you're stuck now.
Yeah.
Give me that moment. Yeah. I don't know what that was, but he's supposed to keep talking and then something happens. If you don't mind starting over. First player, game-breaking bug right away. Right away. Oh, god damn it. Oh, it's completely broken. That's not good. Yeah, I need to restart this thing. Keys. There's a game-breaking bug right away. Right away. You can't play it. Game keeps crashing all the time. It's completely unstable. There are game-breaking bugs like right at the beginning. Damn it! Like even the start new game, it starts a bugged out game that doesn't work. I need to restart the computer like practically every time somebody's done playing. It's a disaster. It's a complete fucking disaster. What happened? Where were you at?
Nothing, just hit start new game.
It just stayed in the sky. One moment. But like every time it crashes, it feels like a personal failure, like a deep personal failure. I need to actually kill the game and restart it. Like I should apologize, like, oh, I'm so sorry I wasted your time, and you can start again if you want, but yeah. We made too many changes last night, and now we have an unstable build on our hands.
Someone just IM'd me with sales stats, and we are at 9,500. So 500 more sales, and we hit 10, which is considered a success for a first day. And it's 2. So yeah, I mean, there's a chance that we can get between 15 and 20,000 sales today, which will be a huge, huge success. Not record-breaking, but still really amazing. In the past 10 hours, Super Meat Boy has grossed more than I've made in the past 6 years combined. That's a bit interesting. I don't know, it's just surreal. I wish Tommy was here. I wish Tony was here.
Things are going okay. The game has a lot of game-breaking bugs and crashes so far, and I need to constantly restart the computer, not the computer, but quit the game and start it again. But people are really enjoying it. A lot of people are actually playing for 15, 20 minutes. But yeah, this is a really, really good playtest session so far. I wanted to create like a nice place, like a pleasant place to be in. I want people to feel a sense of like openness and adventure, but in a really simple, almost childlike way.
I really want people to just enter that world and enjoy their time in it. That's what the game is. It's a nice place to spend time in.
I'm trying to recreate that experience of playing games as a kid before the internet existed and hearing these kind of urban legends like, hey, I hear if you go stand in that corner for 5 seconds and you press down and then you jump 2 times,
Sure,
it
like
warps you somewhere.
When I started gaming, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what the game is about.
So nice to see new Fez.
Yeah, this is basically Fez 4 at this point. We've scrapped 3 games, and
Really, for real?
kind of, yeah. But I think we got it.
I love that fucking art.
Thank you. Ken just introduced me to Tycho from Penny Arcade, who was very, very much into the game. Also,
That is sick. Wait, as soon as you see the side of the drum kit, it's like when you see that pixel art, you know what I mean?
you assume it's pixel art. This is a powerful figure in the game industry. He fucking runs this entire gigantic show. I like this part where it just kind of. Now it's pixel art.
Fuck yes.
I was just really happy to meet the dude and that he liked my game and me so much. I just got a ping back from Destructoid who posted about the trailer, and only for the post from Destructoid, that one post, already got 11,000 likes on Facebook and 209 retweets.
Wait, that's in 2 hours.
In 2 hours.
That's amazing. It's gonna be awesome.
But yeah, people enjoy Fez. Almost universally, it seems.
How does that feel?
It feels pretty good.
What game is this, Brad?
Fuck you is what the name of this
Super
game is.
fuck. This definitely seems like the hardest part right here. There you go, yeah.
What are you supposed to do?
Like seeing people play the game is crazy. The reviews and stuff that we're getting is really neat, but seeing people play and hearing their reactions is just so much more beyond that. Like, it's just so genuine and heartfelt, and you know, you can hear it in their voice that they enjoy it, and that makes me feel so good.
If you had one thing to say to the dude who designed this level right now,
fuck you.
They probably think of it as an ice.
Why'd you hit the spike?
You'd have been really good. You're going to feel satisfaction or a profound sense of loss when you finally complete this.
Fucking hell, dude. How you feeling? Are you alright? Hey, man. Tommy.
Uh-huh.
Okay, email from John. BRAID sold 10K the first day.
Oh, cool.
We are closing in at 15 very soon.
That's pretty awesome.
Hey, Tommy, remember that game BRAID?
Yeah.
I think we might get 20. I think we might. That means that on the first day that we might sell double what one of the most successful indie games of all time has sold. We're really going 1,000 people an hour. It's crazy. You should be very happy about this, Tommy.
I am happy. I'm also very tired. Very, very tired.
Oh man, that's fucking crazy.
15,000 copies done.
John swore up and down. That was the Oh, Tommy, if you want to also get even more happy, just go to YouTube and search Super Meat Boy and look at most recent. People are just there's one guy who just posted. It was his unwrapping. He wanted to have like an unwrapping of the game, so he went out and bought points. It shows him getting the points, redeeming the points, putting it into the game, downloading the game, and then it's just him reacting to playing the game.
Yeah. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh!
shirt. Oh, so awesome. Yes.
Regardless of how the game did, I would like to always remember that I'm proud of it. And I think it's awesome that I can look at a video of the game and still see magic in it. And even though I spent all that time just looking at it as just a buggy piece of software that I had to fix, I think it's still awesome that when I looked at that giant bomb video and the guy hit the glitch level, that was the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Holy shit. What's going on? We've never seen
What is this? What is going on? Oh my god! Oh, dude, we got really awesome fan art. This is a really good drawing. That's crazy though. I used to draw shit. I used to draw Mario. Obsessively, like, oh my god, it's just so crazy.
This is an extraordinary platformer that makes you work for every inch you gain. It all begins with the controls. It's apparent that the controls are just an extension of your thoughts. This is an amazingly well-designed game because it seamlessly avoids the frustration of dying by shielding you from your own aggravation. You can spend as much time as you want getting lost in this incredible world. But the rush of winning is what defines this excellent game.
Video reviews, man. What are you doing? What are you doing over there? What?
To see somebody like really get it. You look at it and you think it's like effortless, like you just made a game, but you really put everything into it and you really knew what you were doing. It's not easy. Not everybody could do that.
Well, I think that people get it. It's just so crazy.
It's nice to hear people get it and I don't have to tell them.
Yeah, that was an awesome review. What a fucking crazy year. Starting to feel worth it.
A little bit.
So starting to feel worth it.
You want to be liked. You want to be appreciated, and like you want people to approve of your work. It's just that you work on a project for so long like that in semi-secrecy. You can't really show it. You can't get that much or any feedback really. You just want to get any little morsel of appreciation. Well, I do. It's like when people, I don't care what people think about this or that. It's like, I care about what people think. I wish I didn't, but I do. It's kind of silly. Like, I'm a little bit annoyed at how much I care about that stuff. Yeah, I wish I didn't care that much. It is kind of like any little bit of feedback and love that I can get.
Last night, Destructoid post about it, and they have the little like retweet and like thing. And it said we had like 200 something retweet and 11,000 likes on Facebook. I was like, oh my god, 11,000 likes. And that really kind of gave me a huge boost. And then later I went back at the hotel and I checked it again and realized it was a fluke, and we had 0 likes. Why do I care so much about this? How many likes I get on a stupid website? Why do I let these things affect me at all? But they do. Like, I do want to have a fucking million views on my trailer. I want everybody to be talking about the game.
Yeah, it can get to you, because it's like they tell you what you want to hear, basically. Well, not what you want to hear, but sometimes I think the game sucks. I suck. That's the other part. This one guy comes along and says, yeah, this game is stupid, nothing happens in it. And I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, I don't feel like as relieved and happy about things as I wished I was gonna. I'm still worried that I might end up making a shitty game that's gonna be remembered as a shitty game that was in development for too long and ended up disappointing everybody.
I have news for you too. Hopefully it'll take a bit of the edge off.
Hit me.
We had a meeting. We
sat down, we talked about all the grievances, all the issues. We agreed, we shook on it, we came to an understanding, and he's going to sign, and it's all going to be taken care of.
Wonderful.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, Ed. Yeah.
It isn't signed yet, but it's a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. It's like I breathe easier.
I'm getting a definitive Knit Stories vibe.
Yes.
A little bit of Cave Story.
No.
No Cave Story is what I meant to say. Why does he wear a little fez hat?
Because that's where he gets his 3D power from. Because the fez is a cube, and well, that's it really. That's my logic for that.
And did I see the entirety of the mechanics? Is it strictly station, or do you
basically, you don't get any more powers than that. There's no boss fights or penalties for dying or anything like that.
It's meant to be played slowly and carefully, like enjoy the world. Yeah.
Absolutely, it's a stop and smell the flowers kind of game.
When I explained to people what the game was about and how it was very slow and passive and kind of relaxing, a lot of people understood, I think, what I was going for with that. People enjoyed what we showed them, which is just the beginning of the game that we've been polishing like crazy for a really long time. Like, the game is still not done. It's still not a cohesive whole. I still have a lot of work to do, so I can't just take all that to the bank right now and go like, oh yeah, I did a great job. This is fantastic. Like, I need to still kind of be afraid of failure, I think.
The game came out. It was highly praised in the press. We got it interviewed by the Wall Street Journal. It got the second highest Metacritic score of all time on Xbox Live, and we sold like 22,000 copies of the game. Yep. I feel like I actually, for the first time in my whole career, I successfully did something that, you know, that a majority of people liked, and it wasn't an alienating experience. Like, I'm notorious for making games that tend to alienate, or not everybody completely understands, and to make something that seems to have complete universal praise. Like, I can't help but think like I finally made something good. Like, I know that there is a kid out there who stayed up all night long for the game to come out and then didn't go to school the next day because he was so into playing it, and that even far exceeds my experiences when I was younger. And to think that I could make something that could have an impact on this kid even creatively, into thinking, hey, I know two guys made this. Like, maybe I can make something too. It's just cool. It's really cool. It feels really, really good.
Part of it is about not trying to be professional. Like, a lot of people come into indie games trying to be like a big company. What those game companies do is create highly polished things that serve as large of an audience as possible. The way that you do that is by filing off all the bumps on something. If there's a sharp corner, you make sure that's not going to hurt anybody if they bump into it or whatever. That creation of this highly glossy commercial product is the opposite of making something personal. Things that are personal have flaws, they have vulnerabilities. If you don't see a vulnerability in somebody, you're probably not relating with them on a very personal level. So it's the same with a game design. You know, making it was about, let me take my deepest flaws and vulnerabilities and put them in the game, and let's see what happens.